Okay, so actually, I just recently realized that snake oil is kind of like an American term. Is there someone in the audience, raise your hand, I cannot see you anyway, that doesn't know what snake oil means? Okay, so snake oil is basically, I think it's the 19th century in the US, people starting kind of selling this product that it was supposed to cure anything. It was like this oil that was extracted from snakes. It really wasn't oil extracted from snakes, but people were selling it, and obviously people were believing. Science was not very advanced. There was no FDA, and there was like these carts, and people were selling their product on the road. But once people realized that it's a giant con, actually the term remained, and now it's colloquially used. Snake oil is something that basically is not working. So before we begin, it's kind of a statement that I'm usually, this disclaimer I give in a lot of my talks. And this is a quote I like a lot, that a dog teaches a boy fidelity, perseverance, and to turn around 3 times before lying down. So if some of you never had a dog, dogs tend to do that. They tend to turn around 3 times and then they lie down. No one knows the explanation for it, but the point is, even though I'm on this stage and quote-unquote expert in the data science field, I'm representing one person's opinion, and everything I'm going to say, just take it with a grain of salt. It's one person's opinion. So just we'll walk through it. The reason why I like giving agendas, it's mainly because there is a way for you to know if I bore you to death when it's going to end. So when I come to the perfect data product and wrapping it up, it's over. So a little bit about me. I'm currently a director of data science at Salesforce. And prior, I was working with at LinkedIn, actually, with two other speakers that were here before me, Mike Conover and Matthew Bastian. The difference between me and Matthew and Mike, in case you actually witnessed Matthew talking about that data scientists are not superheroes, that's true about him. I am a superhero. And in case someone wants to tweet, this is my Twitter handle. Okay, so why do I give this talk? And now that I became kind of a little bit can have this more managerial role at Salesforce, and have this like I'm sure some of you as well have some IT budget that we want to spend. I keep getting to a lot of these conversations with vendors that there's like sleek salespeople that come and kind of try to pitch me their company, their latest product, and it's the greatest. And even though I've been doing data science for about 10 years now, and I'm somewhat experienced in it, like a lot of time I'm actually get a pitch, but my face looks kind of like that. I'm not really sure, like, it sounds right, but it also sounds kind of sketchy. You like promise a lot of things, but I don't like really know what it is. And I thought about, hey, maybe if I'm going through it, then maybe a lot of other people as well. And here I am to maybe kind of walk you through my process around how do I assess basically their product. So here is another just caveat. I will mostly talk about very specific, like best of breed point solutions. So all the examples I would give is mostly related for like smaller companies that focus on one thing. For example, this is definitely not a great framework to evaluate companies like IBM, Microsoft, or my current employer Salesforce that have these giant platform, one-stop shop solutions. It's more about very specific best-of-breed point solution. But before we begin, just with a kind of a hand raise, how many people here are actually like somewhat practicing data scientists, data analysts, data miners, whatever we want to call it, but like my manager who's like this pretty old-school guy, the way he describes it is like that. People who actually, if your grandma came to work, she won't be able to tell the difference between you and a typist in a courtroom. Okay, that's actually, and how many of you are more managerial, executive type level? Okay, actually the majority. Great, because this talk is for you. Awesome. Um, and I guess my other point, this is also something I'm extremely passionate. And Alistair Coral was here talking about data science, the pros, the cons, and the ethics that surround it. I have a kind of mild view on it, and my view on building all these advanced machine learning products that we're actually killing people by not building them. And that's, I have like a very strong opinion on it. And I'll give an example from, if you read the Steve Jobs biography, there was this little story there that actually kind of struck a chord with me. It's about he came to engineer when I think it was the Mac 2 was slow at booting. And he came and said, well, you have to shave off time the booting. And this architect told him, we can't do it. He said, what if I told you someone's life depends on it? And he said, well, if someone's life depends on it, I guess I'll find a way. He said, okay, let's do a simple math task. We have 5 million Macs. It's 10 seconds extra to boot each Mac. That is how many times you boot. And basically he said, hey, it's 100 people lives in a year that we're now wasting. And that was, 30, 40 years ago. Now, if you take, for example, Google just launched their like automatic email, or for example, Alistair was talking about traffic, which I will be talking as well. If you take a great data product, the amount of time we save is now not 100 people a year. It's probably more like 100,000. And basically, that what I'm going to talk about, it's when we choose the right data product, we are actually doing humanity a huge favor and giving them back a lot of time that they can use actually, for many other things like advancing humanity even further. So without further ado, how to spot a data oil salesman. So these are kind of the things I look first. So for me, when I meet with the company, the first thing I'm looking at is the team. It's kind of a very good indicator, as I'll show you. I picked up like 2 companies that, again, they're not special in any way. I just picked them because I'm just happen to be familiar, and I think they're good examples, but hopefully you will get the general principle that I'm trying to show. So this is a company, it's called Vicarious. Their mission, building the next generation of AI algorithms, right? So now, if I see that vision, I kind of try to understand what this company is trying to do, at least on a very, very high level. But I can imagine what kind of team I would like to see there. And this is kind of, if you go to their team page, you will see actually even more. And you probably don't see the text because it's very far, but hopefully you see a word, one word that appears almost after every single person's name. So in case you don't see it from far, the word PhD appears, I think, I don't know, it's like 10 times almost out of these people. And if you look more deeply, you see these people have PhDs from some of the best schools in the world. And believe me, as a person that spends a lot of time hiring very similar people, these people are extremely expensive to hire, and they have a lot of opportunities. And my point is, if I see a company that still decided to have that mix of people, they're not paying them to twiddle the thumbs. It means that this company is actually putting a lot of their resources into hiring the best and the brightest, and probably they have a decent product. The next example is a company called MetaMind that their motto in life is breakthrough artificial intelligence, state-of-the-art automation for image recognition and language understanding. And at the top of the page, they have 2 people, their founder and CEO, and their VP of engineering. And you can see that even at the CEO level, it says Richard enjoys research and applications of machine learning, deep learning, natural language, and blah, 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 blah. It's not really the kind of typical, CEO, like suit, tie, been doing, I don't know, finance for 20 years. This guy genuine. And there's some, distinguished application paper award at very distinguished conference. And you can see a company at the CEO level, they definitely have, some of the kind of brightest minds at the field. So again, it's probably someone that is passionate, and you will see it in the technology. And I'll give an example for how a company team page looks for companies that also kind of come to us and offer us solutions, but usually there is a very good correlation in if that company's page looks like that, then it's usually not great. And here is, I didn't want to use a specific company, but there's plenty of those. And if you see that, we have the CEO, then we have a bunch of salespeople, and then we have a bunch of marketing people. Again, remind you, we're talking about sufficiently small companies because when companies becomes at a certain size, like that is actually even if they have great technology, it's still you will see sales and marketing people because that's how companies grow. But it's not something I would like to see at, let's say, a 20 people startup that now claims they have the best technology for a specific cause. Let's go kind of a little bit faster. The careers, very similar. We go back to Vicarious. If I see the career pages and it says building the next generation of AI algorithms, that's the only two positions they have. That also tells me a lot. If your only two positions are researcher and software engineer, it probably means you're putting more effort into your product. Same with MetaMind, Breakthrough Artificial Intelligence. They have 4 open positions, which is deep learning scientist / engineer, front engineer, DevOps, site reliability engineer, product platform, and data engineering. If I see that, like a lot of time, and this is also something I do for every company I meet with, and by the way, for all of you that are startup people here and kind of want to sell kind of more technology product to jerks like me, and believe me, it's not easy because I really don't make your life easy in that, is like just make sure that if you're saying you have the best solution in X, that you actually hire people who know how to do X on your website. Because otherwise it just kind of looks off. And again, obviously, if that is how your career page looks like, then that's not it. The first thing I look at is the expertise, and this is also very important. What is your focus? So Vicarious, there is the about, but here I will mark kind of 2 further. It says, currently we are focused and we are interested. The company for the more than 10 very high-level PhDs that they have, they're extremely hedging on what exactly they are delivering, right? It's like currently we are focused on visual perception problems, and we are interested. They're like not claiming, hey, we know how to solve any problem you will throw at us. And this is also kind of that the company realizes what it's good at and doesn't try to just sell you something else. The same with MetaMind is, they have 2 things. They say we can do image recognition, we can do language understanding. Obviously, these 2 are pretty big topics by themselves, but again, it's not a generic one-size-fits-all solution because those are hard to sell. And here I'm going to show you a slide from an actual company that came to pitch to us, and that was how the slide looked like. There's proprietary AI and ML technologies, and you can see, actually, I don't think, like I was lazy at some point actually drawing more lines, but there are obviously more lines. So what's the problem? So maybe it's possible. However, in this particular company, it was 3 people. 2 of them were business people. Only 1 of them was actually a technical person. So I'm saying, and here is, my kind of bullshit detector goes off, right? It's like I'm saying, you can do all these things, and you have 1 person working for you that actually implements all of that. And to really drive the point on how not simple this thing is, I would like to introduce, and this is like my only technical slide probably in the talk, I would like to introduce an algorithm that's called logistic regression. Logistic regression is It's a formula that is basically, you know it from high school math. It means, a straight line in 2 dimensions, but if you can imagine that we are in multidimensional, then W is just a vector. But the point is, that is the entire formula for what logistic regression eventually outputs. So, and that is probably one of the most simple classification algorithms that data scientists use. Here I brought with me a book about applied logistic regression. That formula that you see has 450 pages of a book on it with stuff, honestly, I have no idea what they all mean. And we kind of use that book in our team. Again, no one actually read all of it. We use it more like a reference when we're dealing with a problem. But like I said, we have 500 pages on that one simple formula. And if you're gonna tell me that you're an expert on 20 of them, that's kind of, I will find it hard to believe. So let's go for what I think is the perfect data product. And the perfect data product for me is a GPS. And I'll explain why. Because it's really a great data product because of these 5 things. First, it asks you where you want to go. This is crucial for every data product. It gives you different options together. It tells you why it chose, in this case, the route that it chose. It reevaluates if you haven't followed the advice. You say, someone told you to turn right, you continue driving straight, you got new direction. And 5 is really important that actually not all GPS have, but I think it's extremely important for a data product. It shows you the value of, like, for example, how much time you save by using that application. And we'll go a little bit more deeply on every point here. So it asks you where you want to go. Why is it important? Because here is a quote that is one of my personal favorite quotes from Alice in Wonderland. And it's Alice meets the Cheshire Cat, and he asks, would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? And the cat says, that depends a good deal on where you want to get to. Alice says, I don't much care where. Then it doesn't matter which way you want to go, which way you go. And this is the problem with a lot of data products. They're just are not, optimized for your own goal. And that is just, we can do much better. If I don't know what you are optimizing for, how can I guarantee that I can deliver it, right? And I will show you an example of how a GPS looks like in a form that does not ask you where you want to go. And it's a great kind of GPS. It's extremely flexible. You can zoom in. You can do a lot of stuff in it. It's actually made from recyclable materials. And I have it here with me. That is the GPS that doesn't ask you where you want to go. It doesn't tell you how to get there. If you have a product, and here, analyst people, I'm looking at you. If you have a product that, in order for me to interact with it, I need to look at it, then I need to figure out what I need to do. I need to look at it again and again and again, and hopefully, after looking at it many, many times, it just will, come to me, hey, this is what I need to do, then great, there is definitely a place for such product. It's just not the best we can do. The next, it gives you different options. So in GPS, it's pretty clear, we get different routes that are optimized. But here's another example of a data product. It's a search engine that's called kind of DuckDuckGo that has this kind of a playful experience when you type in Opera, right? And it asks you, Opera can mean different things. Which one? Do you mean the performance hour? Do you mean the web browser? Or do you mean the company that develops that web browser? And this is, again, it's a great experience that is basically say, hey, when we use the product, people actually, might think, here is just ambiguity around the language. In GPS, it's ambiguity around the optimization function. Some people want the fastest. Some people wants the shortest. Now that my wife actually drives an electric car, she wants the route that actually saves the most battery in some cases. But basically, we need options. Next, it tells you why it shows what it shows, and this is a lot of it goes to like black box versus what here, and it's a pretty slide from Airbnb. They refer to it glass box. Some people refer to it as white box, but basically it's hey. You gave me an advice, and the sense of GPS is like you see you're driving on this green line, and all the roads like next to you are red, and probably all of you that used GPS in the last couple of days tried to get here, you definitely saw it. But here it's a great example from Airbnb that when they you can ask them, is my listing price too high? It doesn't just tell you, hey, we ran it, and our logistical regression coefficient said yes. Like they actually tell you yes because of low season, yes because of 0 reviews. And kind of why is it important is because actually that is in many ways how you develop trust. If you think about self-driving cars, which is kind of like a black box model, and I now just recently kind of bought a car that has all these like fancy functionality that almost gets to a level of self-driving, but it's hard to trust, right? It's like I cannot like just let it drive and like and not touch the steering wheel. And also when the company the product tells you why, it's you feel that you're getting your kind of money worth, and you actually can use it not just for this product. You can take those insights and use them somewhere else, and basically you get a more bang for your buck. It reevaluates if you haven't followed the advice. Here I chose to present an example from Gmail. So Gmail introduced, it's kind of been for quite some time now, but I remember when it just started, this important versus not important tags, right? So even if Gmail decided to tag as not important, but you clicked on it, you opened it, and then you maybe even clicked on something inside, next time a similar email comes in, it will be important. You don't even have to provide that manual feedback. Hey, you can do it. You can do it on Gmail. You can actually click and say, hey, I decided this is important. But actually, you don't have to, because if you click on it, if you open it, then Gmail will just know. And that is, again, it's a great experience. And the last one is just, I think it's pretty obvious why we want to see the value of the products. Like, and for me, it's not just, hey, it's something that it's basically says that the company I'm dealing with is transparent. They actually show me, they're not trying to hide, they're not saying, hey, trust us, it works. If a company goes and proactively has this value page saying, hey, like in the GPS, for example, hey, by using our suggestion for the route, you saved kind of 20 minutes today, or supermarkets do it with these membership cards, right? But in the end of the check, they say, hey, it's not exactly a data product, but we're saying it's still kind of the value proposition. Is there you save $20 by using the card? It means that because they're so transparent, they will probably optimize for me to keep getting better and better value. So here's the end. In summary, what I want you to understand that first, data science is important. It's the electricity of our era. And what I mean by electricity is when no one says electrical toaster today. People just call it toaster. No one says color TV. With some time from now, we will stop calling our phones smartphones. They will be just phones. And the same with products. Like, for example, when, I love it when my calendar tells me, hey, you should go to your meeting because traffic is there. It's just smart, and we'll expect all of our products to behave in the same way. Data science is hard. That is one of the best indicators. It's like if someone pitching to you, just go look at who the people who work there. Usually there is the great correlation. And the first thing is like kind of something that I would like all of you to do is think about, if you are a product developer, then think about, is my product is a map or a GPS, or perhaps neither? Or if you're kind of on the buying side, is when someone pitching to you, think about, is it a GPS or someone is trying to sell me a map and tell me it's a GPS? Thank you.